I'll never forget the day I walked into Pinnacle Enterprises with my mop and bucket. Just another morning in my navy blue uniform. My name's Clara Thompson, 48 years old, and for 15 years I'd been the cleaning lady nobody saw. The executives, in their fancy suits, rushed past me, their shiny shoes clicking on the marble floors of that Chicago high-rise. To them, I was invisible. Until I wasn't. It started with a spilled coffee and a cruel laugh from the CEO, Victor Lang, that echoed through the halls. That's when I decided they'd mocked me for the last time. Every night, I'd push my cart through those empty offices, the city skyline glowing outside the giant windows. Victor's corner office was the worst. Papers scattered, coffee cups, everywhere, like he owned the place. Well, he acted like he did. I'd hear him barking orders during the day, firing people without a second thought, laughing with his buddies about cutting the fat. Once, I caught him shredding papers, financial stuff he didn't want anyone to see. I didn't say a word, just kept scrubbing. But I was watching, always watching. One Tuesday, it got personal. I was mopping the lobby when Victor strutted in with his crew, all smirks and loud voices. Someone had spilled coffee near the elevator, probably one of them, and he pointed at me, barking, "Clean it up, Grandma." The whole staff turned to look. He laughed. They laughed. And I just stood there, mop in hand, face burning. I wanted to yell back, but I swallowed it. Kept my head down. That night, alone with my cart, I made a promise to myself. He'd pay for that. I wasn't always just a cleaning lady. 15 years ago, my uncle, a big investor, passed away and left me something nobody knew about. Shares in Pinnacle Enterprises, a lot of them. I could have cashed out, but I stayed, mopping floors, watching Victor turn the company into his personal playground. I'd see good people, janitors, assistants, get laid off while he bought another yacht. Those shares were my secret, my ace. After that coffee spill humiliation, I called my old friend Tom, a lawyer. "Tom," I said, "it's time." Tom met me at a diner across town, away from Pinnacle's prying eyes. Over greasy fries, I spilled everything. Victor's, layoffs, the shredded papers, the way he treated us like dirt. Tom leaned in, eyes sharp. "Clara, you're the majority shareholder. You've got the power to end this." I'd been sneaking photos of those papers with my phone, stuffing them in my cart. Evidence, real stuff, numbers that didn't add up, emails about illegal cuts. Tom grinned. We hit him at the shareholders' meeting. Hard. I nodded. My heart was racing. The shareholders' meeting was a week away, and I kept my head down, mopping floors like nothing was up. Victor strutted around, bragging about record profits while I dusted his office. My phone buzzed with Tom's texts. Evidence is airtight. I'd slip into the copy room late at night, printing emails I'd fished from the trash. Proof he'd harassed staff, fudged reports. My hands shook, but I felt alive. One night, I overheard him on a call, laughing about squeezing the little people. I smiled to myself. He had no idea what was coming. The night before the meeting, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my tiny apartment, staring at the stack of papers Tom had organized. Every lie Victor told, every dollar he stole from us, laid out in black and white. My uniform hung on the chair, still smelling like bleach. I'd walk in tomorrow, mop in hand, and they'd laugh. Until they didn't. I thought about my uncle, how he trusted me with those shares. This wasn't just for me. It was for every janitor, every assistant he'd crushed. I whispered to myself, tomorrow, Victor's, done. The morning of the shareholders' meeting, I walked into Pinnacle like always, bucket rattling, head down. The boardroom was buzzing, suits everywhere, Victor at the head of the table smirking like a king. I waited in the hall, gripping my cart, until Tom texted, "Now." I pushed through the doors, still in my uniform, and every head turned. Victor snorted. "What's she doing here?" he barked, waving me off. I took a deep breath, stepped forward, and said, "I'm not just the cleaning lady, Victor. I own this company." The room went dead silent. Victor laughed, a loud, fake laugh, and said, "Nice joke, sweetheart. Get back to your mop." The board chuckled nervously. I didn't flinch. I pulled out my folder, slapped it on the table, and started reading. Falsified reports, illegal layoffs, his own emails calling us disposable. Faces went pale. "I've got the shares," I said, voice steady. "And I've got the votes." Tom stepped in, papers in hand, confirming it. Victor's jaw tightened. "You can't." "Oh, I can." I cut him off. "You're fired, Victor. Right now." The boardroom exploded into whispers as Victor stood there, red-faced, fists clenched. "This isn't over," he hissed, storming toward the door. I stayed calm, watching him go. Then I turned to the board. "Things changed today," I said. "No more layoffs for profit. No more treating people like trash." They nodded, stunned. I wasn't done. I pulled out my phone, showed a photo of the cleaning crew. "These folks deserve raises, starting now." A few clapped, tentative, then loud. For the first time, in 15 years, I felt seen. Victor didn't go quietly. As I left the building that day, I saw him in the parking lot, yelling into his phone, pacing like a trapped animal. I kept walking, my bucket rattling one last time. By evening, my phone lit up. News alerts. Pinnacle CEO ousted in shareholder coup. Then it got better. Regulators had seen my leaks, frozen his accounts, his yacht seized, his name dragged online, tweets calling him a fraud, a bully. Karma didn't wait long. I smiled, sitting on my couch. The next day at Pinnacle, the air felt different. I walked. In, no uniform this time, just jeans and a sweater. And people stared. Not with pity, but something new. Respect. The cleaning crew mobbed me in the break room, grinning. "Clara, you really did it," one said, handing me a coffee. I laughed. First, time in years. Later, I sat in Victor's old office, signing papers for raises, ethical rules. The view was the same, but it was mine now. I wasn't invisible anymore. Word spread fast. By noon, my inbox was flooded. Reporters wanting interviews, old co-workers, thanking me. One email stood out. A janitor I'd worked with years ago, fired by Victor for asking for a sick day. "You gave us our dignity back," he wrote. I teared up reading it. Later, I walked the halls, saw people smiling, really smiling, at me. A kid from accounting stopped me. "You're a legend, Clara," he said. I shrugged. Just doing what's right. But inside, I felt 10 feet tall. That night, I stopped by the diner where Tom and I had planned it all. He was already there, fries waiting. "You're trending, Clara," he said, showing me his phone. "Cleaning lady CEO everywhere." I laughed, shook my head. "I just wanted Victor gone." Tom leaned back. "You did more than that. You shook the whole company awake." We toasted with soda cans, like kids. Outside, Chicago's lights blinked, same as always. But I felt different. Stronger. I'd spent 15 years waiting. And now, I'd won. A week later, I got a call from a local news station. They wanted me on air, live. I said yes, nerves jangling. Sitting under those bright lights, I told my story. The mop, the shares, Victor's fall. The host leaned in. "Why'd you wait so long?" I paused, then said, "I needed proof, and the right moment." Calls flooded in, people cheering, some crying, saying I'd inspired them to speak up at their jobs. I left the studio, shaky but proud. Back at Pinnacle, I started small changes that felt big. I put a suggestion box in the break room. First note, more coffee. I laughed, ordered an extra machine. Then I met with the cleaning crew, asked what they needed, better hours, gloves that didn't rip. Done. One guy, Miguel, pulled me aside. "My kid saw you on TV," he said. "She wants to be you someday." I blinked back tears. Tell her to be better than me. It hit me. This wasn't just about Victor anymore. Victor didn't vanish quietly. A month later, I saw him on some cable show, ranting, calling me a sneaky janitor who stole his company. I rolled my eyes. But then the host dropped a clip. Security footage of him trashing his office after I fired him, screaming like a toddler. I laughed so hard I spilled my tea. Online, people tore him apart. Memes everywhere. His meltdown trending, his old cronies distanced themselves, his empire a punchline. Karma wasn't done kicking him. Things settled at Pinnacle. But I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes on me. Walking home one night, I noticed a guy lingering too close, too quiet. Then my phone rang. "Tom. Clara. Victor's been asking around about you. Stay sharp." My stomach dropped. I'd won, but he wasn't letting go. Next day, I hired security for the crew, just in case. I wasn't scared, though. I'd faced him once. I'd do it again. That mop wasn't my weapon anymore. My voice was. Victor's last swing came quick. One morning, a lawyer showed up at Pinnacle with a lawsuit, claiming I'd manipulated the shares. I met him in the lobby, calm as ever. "Check the records," I said, handing over my uncle's will, notarized and clean. Tom was there, smirking. The guy skimmed it, stammered, then left. Hours later, news hit. Victor's case got tossed. Judges called it frivolous. His legal fees piled up. His last. Allies bailed. He was done, for real this time. I exhaled. Finally, free. A year later, Pinnacle's a different place. I'm still there, not in a uniform, but running things my way. The crews got raises. The layoffs stopped. And people actually smile in the halls. I framed that first. Suggestion note, more coffee, on my desk. A reminder of who I'm here for. Victor? Last I heard, he's selling condos in some nowhere town. Broke and forgotten. Me? I'm no hero. Just a cleaning lady who got fed up. If I can do this, so can you. Karma's not done yet. Where do you think it's headed next?